Hi guys! Today I'm going to do a video that I've been wanting to do for a while, and that is a discussion on just the author Michael Grant in general, because he's had some criticism on social media, particularly Twitter, about being a not very nice person in terms of like being sexist, ableist, and also just the fact that I have been a fan of his books for a really long time, and if that makes him a good person to me, then that's my fault. But the fact that I need to just weigh up what he's done, the way he writes his books, is it okay for me to still like him? Of course it is. I just want to discuss like the bad and the good really, and just put it all together in one video. So if anyone's just was unsure about what was going down, like I was, because I had no clue. I just come to Twitter, and then like my best friends on BookTube, who I respect the opinion of entirely, and I would believe them if they told me something, and were writing tweets about how awful he was being, and I was like, this can't be true, and I was really upset about it. And because I was upset about it, I want to talk about it. So here it is. Okay, so let's first address the difficulty on social media that some people have with Michael Grant. In his bio on Twitter, he says that he'll block racists and people that wants to ban books. Michael Grant strikes me as a man who is very liberal. He obviously hates Republicans. He hates Trump. That is very clear. And he fights for equality and people of all sorts of races, genders, sexualities. So any kind of problem people have with him seems to be from discussions where he's got into a Twitter argument with people about these complex issues, which I'm not going to pretend I understand. And he said some hurtful things towards the people who he dislikes. And this is quite problematic when you're like quite a famous author, because it's not like just like me and like a friend or me and an enemy having like a spat on Twitter, where I can say something quite hurtful on Twitter, and the worst that can happen to me is my boss might see it and think, what a horrible person, I'm going to fire them now, which is a terrible thing to happen, but it's not something that people are unfamiliar with. People get angry all the time on social media and say things that they don't mean, or silly things, or things that just bother people unnecessarily, because it's hard to read what they actually mean by things when it's just written down on a Twitter feed, and you've never met this person, so you don't know the way they'd say it, they don't know their intonation, you don't know their intention. Intention is a really grey area that I'm not really going to go into. Like, just because someone intended it, does that mean that it's not okay? But if they didn't intend it but it still hurt them, that's still not okay. It's just really kind of difficult to know. So I would like to kind of defend Michael Grant in this situation, that yeah, you can swear and you can say hurtful things, but the way that he puts representation in his books, even books that I personally don't like, the way it's still there shows that he's not trying to do it to please people. He's doing it because he believes in this representation, and even though I can't comment on its quality because I'm not the people that he's representing, it's still there, and I think that he makes the effort, and that if he was what people accuse him of being, then he wouldn't make this effort. Please feel free, if you disagree, let me know down below, because there might have been tweets that I have missed, because even though I'm on Twitter a lot, obviously he's on Twitter a lot more because he's very active, and I've had a quick look at trying to find the problem that my friend had with him, and I couldn't find it. So if you remember what it was, just let me know, because I don't want to say something and defend him if there's something undefendable out there that I've just missed. But in terms of his books and his writing, the representation that I was talking about specifically, I've seen a growth in it as well, which not only suggests that he believes in it, but that he's seeing what people are saying in the industry and is taking it on himself to improve it in his own books. In the Gone series, there's a character who is lesbian, and I can't really remember if there's any other kind of representation. There's Eda Leo, who is Mexican, and it's been years since I've read those books, so that's all that's coming to mind at the minute. But then in Monster, which is the new spin-off series to the Gone series, one of the main characters, there's two main characters, one of them is like got PTSD, she's like completely scarred from when I'm not going to say that, that's a spoiler. But she has got complete like obsession over this event that happened, and then she makes friends after she saves a trans girl from being beaten up at a bus stop called Cruz, and then they're best friends for the whole book. It copes with Cruz's sexuality amazingly because they develop powers, and her power kind of relates to how she relates to her sexuality, and like Shade isn't like worried about talking to her about this. It's a really open conversation in this book. It's really in your face and there, but not less or more in your face as other people's straightness, if you know what I mean. So I was just really pleased when I read this, because I haven't personally read many books with trans characters, and I really enjoyed it because it's not powering the story, it's just its own thing, and that's just a normal thing in the book when all these crazy things are going on. And I don't really like the book, if I'm honest, because it's got like horrible scenes of like viciousness and like bloodthirstiness. I like the Messenger of Fear series, which I think he's only done 2, maybe 3 books for, which I read when I was more bloodthirsty, and now I'm not, and I'm not enjoying it as much because I'm not as connected to these characters as I was. But that's why I called this video Hero, Monster or Villain, because the next book following on from Monster is going to be called Villain, and I'm assuming that the book after that's going to be called Hero. So I just wanted to play off on that. I'm sure Michael Grant might like that himself. He seems like a really easygoing guy. Like in the blurb of all his books, it's like how he's lived like in 50 places and like travels and like can't rest, and I just really like his activism, especially social media. I'd go as far to say he's a role model, especially with his books and how fast he writes. Yeah, he's got flaws, and I don't like all of his works. Like, I don't like Berserk because I don't like sci-fi books. So that's that. And the Gone series are one of my favourite things in the whole wide world. And Purple Hearts is coming out, and I might die because Silver Stars and Front Lines were incredible as books as a whole. And when I remember them as 4-star reads. When I was reading them, I remember not liking some characters. I remember loving other parts. So it's just a mixed bag, really, as every author. You can't expect them to be very consistent all the time when they've got this much pressure to be an author who represents everything you want in the whole wide world, and their own person with their scope of perspective. So for what Michael Grant does, I think he does it really well. So that's basically my conclusion to this video, but I really want the commentary and like the conversation to continue, so please let me know your thoughts, especially if you've read any of his books. I know that he's wrote other ones, maybe Adam and Eve I think it's called, that I haven't read either, because I think that might be sci-fi as well. But it's just been really good to talk about something that I've been thinking about for a while. So thanks for listening, let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!